I cannot remember when I wasn't in the river. My first recollections of the river is when my Uncle Wayne took me probably at the age of 6 or 7 years old. I had two older cousins that we fished. He would take us in the river, and I thought it was the wildest, most mystical place I had ever seen in my life.
Well, I was born and raised in Orangeburg, South Carolina, which sits nicely on the banks of the North Edisto. And it really introduced me to the natural world because we would go into the swamps of the Edisto. We would fish in the river with my father at first and then by myself later.
But all our serious fishing and what have you was along the South Edisto River from probably Coleman's Bridge all the way to the Big Edisto and all the way down to Jacksonboro, that area. South Edisto is the prime for me, though. That's the best river in my opinion. I can be there in 10 minutes and must be preserved.
I live on Edisto Island on a tidal creek, and the tidal creek is flushed with fresh water from the North Edisto River. What forms Edisto Island is the Edisto River. When it flows down from the middle part of the state, it flows through the ACE Basin. The ACE Basin is a tidal basin where three rivers feed.
The Ashepoo, the Combahee, and the Edisto River, thus ACE. Those three river systems go into St. Helena Sound.
Those three rivers create truly a wetlands wonderland, a literal paradise for wildlife.
Everything comes down the Edisto is going to be in here. It's going to affect salinity. It's going to affect it all. And I don't want to see it. None of us want to see it trashed. I mean, we've all got a huge investment in this. The
flow of fresh water from the Edisto River is the lifeblood of Edisto Island, and really of the whole coast.
The Edisto, is touted as being the longest blackwater river in the country, and we need to protect it and watch it very closely.
South Carolina took a big important step a few years ago in passing a law that would permit surface water withdrawals. Unfortunately, when that law was passed, there was an exemption given to agricultural users that now puts every South Carolina river at risk of being run dry because the water is being over-allocated.
And a local issue could generate a lot of discussion in Columbia this week.
Walther Potato Farms is setting up shop outside Windsor in Aiken County. Hundreds showed up to a meeting just last week in opposition to that farm that could pump 805 million gallons from the South Edisto River every single month.
The Edisto and Salkehatchie regions are the canaries in the coal mine. We are seeing unrestrained development of giant out-of-state farms using both surface water and groundwater.
We have a law in which one class of user has a complete exemption and can use as much water as they choose without the requirement of receiving a permit.
The Department of Health and Environmental Control says the farm's plan to withdraw water is legal. DHEC says under a current state law which took effect a few years ago, a farmer like Walther can withdraw massive amounts of water from rivers without a permit and without telling the public, as long as they pump within what DHEC calls a safe yield. Other factors aren't taken into account. Senator Campson hopes to change that.
And there needs to be an overarching provision that says, essentially, if you're going to take above a certain percentage of the river's flow, you need to have a permit.
We own that. And the idea that, well, we can just give it away to a private entity to do anything they want to with it, pump as much of it as they want to with no check, no regulation, nothing, it's insane. It's crazy.
The General Assembly is charged with stewardship responsibility over that public resource. And you know what we're being called because we stand for that? Radical environmentalists, that's what we're being called. Enemies of farming.
I was a member of the Farm Bureau for a long time. I'm not a member now because of this, because they called me a radical.
Yeah, that hurt my feelings. And that hurt a lot of them's feelings because that was a long way from the truth.
And me or anybody else could apply and suck that Edisto River dry, and nobody downriver have any recourse. to me, it's got to be one of the most insane laws I've ever heard about.
We all want to protect South Carolina farmers. They're a vital part of our communities. But what it did was open the door for large agribusiness to come in and do this. Not family farms, but giant industrial farms.
If it happens on the bank of the Edisto, it can happen anywhere in the state, from the Salkehatchie to the PD to the Black River to Lynch's to the Waccamaw to the Savannah, right on any river in the state.
If we lose this, what have we really lost? Take deep thought of what we're losing before we take this water out of the river.